Hi friends, today we are going to discuss about incremental load using system variable. Basically about incremental load we had discussed different scenarios like first incremental load using stored procedure, incremental load using timestamp with parameters, and incremental load in simplified version in my past videos. But this video is particular about how to make use of system variable. One particular subscriber was asking me, so that is the reason I brought this topic today for our discussion. So basically there are two system variable helpful to achieve this method. So that is last run time and last run date. Okay, this was two system variable, and basically these system variables, when we started making use of it for our incremental load purpose, this is being stored, the value is being stored in the repositories server, repository server in the cloud side. So since it is maintained means in IICS, so since it is being maintained by repository server by Informatica itself, we cannot override these variables. Means like in Informatica Power Center, we cannot take the control of these variables so that is what the point here. So when we started the initial load, the variable starting date itself defined by integration service like 1970 0101. Okay, and the other point to keep it in mind is like whenever the incremental load using this system variable, when we run it, so upon the successful status only the value being updated. So otherwise it will be simply skipped. Okay, that is the important point. And as I already mentioned before, it is completely controlled by Informatica Cloud, so we cannot manipulate. So in case you don't want this method completely, no, I'm not comfortable, it is being controlled by Informatica Cloud, you can go with the parameters as an option like the earlier methods what we discussed. Okay, and the last most point you need to remember is like the time zone. The default time zone maintained to update these variables are in GMT. In case in your project you are using different time zone, you have to adjust when you are using it in the conditions. Okay, so these are the things you have to these are the points you have to keep it in mind before making use of this last run date or last run time system variable for incremental load purpose. Hope you got a better idea with these points what we discussed. Let us try to create a mapping how to implement the same. So in today's use case, again a very basic example I took it. Source, we have emp underscore enc with created date and modified date for each record, assuming the stage data we are getting from the source like that. So based on the modified date information, we are going to load it into the target. Okay, that is the idea. Additionally, I'm introducing for all knowledge and learning purpose the parallel uh, one more source target mapping I have included in the same mapping itself. Okay, so to load into the ETL parameter table. So basically what it is happening, when we are getting the data here in the source side, we are filtering with modified date greater than last date, last runtime -1. So which means that whatever in the initial run, it will take 1970 0101 as a first run, -1 date it will get the data and run it. The parallelly here, this also will run in the same thing. It will try to get the maximum modified date from the emp inc table. Okay, with this condition, and that will be passed into expression transformation, and finally it will be loaded into the target ETL param table. Okay, so that is an idea. Okay, so let us try to create a I already defined a mapping on quick mapping introduction. I can explain you. See, this is whatever we discuss. See here, source, So we are taking this filter condition, we are going to define it, and vmp modify date from the source we are assigning, we are putting. Okay, so and similarly, the parallel one more source task mapping I'm giving. Okay, so here if you see here, as I told, for ETL param table load I'm giving a custom query. Okay, so okay, so and with that, in the expression transformation you can see additionally one column I've introduced to get the mapping name what I'm currently running. So this is the system variable. Again, if you go back system, through the system variable you can find the current mapping name. Okay, so then finally it will be loaded into the target side with this field mapping. Only these three columns I have: parameter ID, parameter name, and last run date. Okay, let's try to run it, create a mapping from the scratch now. So before to that, let me try to truncate t underscore enc. Okay, the table got truncated. Now the next thing is t underscore etl underscore param. Okay, so I have already 10 records loaded. If you see here in this table, so we have all modified date loaded into 26th March. Okay, or 26 March. So when we are trying for the first incremental load, as I told you, the last run time will be 1970 0101. Okay, with that it will pull all the 10 records in the first time, and the second iteration automatically, the system runtime, whatever we ran it for the first iteration will get updated in the last runtime. So whatever greater than that date, it will try to pull that. Okay, let us try to create a mapping, and I'll practically explain how it is. Okay, so the source is Oracle. So EMPINC. Now the next thing is in the query section, go and filter as usual. Okay, so here the query condition you can give it EMP with modified date. Okay, and okay, instead of that you can do this way. Yeah, so last run time -1, that's it. So this is done. So the next thing is for safer side we can use modified for ascending date. So after this we are good. Then you can do the target mapping straight away. This is the first mapping, as I told. Go to the target and select t underscore EMPINC. Okay, that's it. And now this is the first portion of the source target mapping is done. between the EMP, EMP underscore INC table data, we are loading into the target T underscore EMP INC, the primary condition with the primary condition based on this filter condition it will be considered. Okay, last run time, the system variable, it will be considered 1970 minus 1. Okay, in the first run. Okay. Target now for let's do the source target mapping for the ETL param table. Okay, we have the query already. Okay, this is the query. I copy this query. Oracle source and select as custom query, define it, validate it. Okay, validate this one. This is good. So now the next thing is we need to define a expression transformation. Okay, in this expression transformation pass this source data. Okay, but addition to this the modified date what we're getting from the source, that is the maximum modified date for the current run. We also need to pass sequence generator. Okay, that is to capture the running number for the ETL param table. Each run time we are generating a run number. For that reason we are taking the sequence number. So now if you go back and see the incoming fields, we have three fields. Like let us skip the car value, it is not required, so modified date is there. So additionally we can create a o underscore map name. This is for just okay, maybe we can create 40. Okay, so and as I go to the configure and select system variable and select this current mapping name, validate it. So this is also done. So now next finishing part is select the target, and in the target map it with the expression transformation here. In this expression transformation, sorry, in this target, let us try to load the ETL param table. So at present I'm using Oracle target. Yeah, here ETL param, this is the table. If you go back and see, this is the structure what you see from the ETL param table, which is reside in the target. Okay, this is the column I have. So this param ID is going to be running number. So that is the reason sequence generator I'm using for that reason. Okay, and here the second column will hold the ETL mapping name, and the last is last runtime. Okay, so now let's go and do the mapping. Okay, mapping name this one, and modified date is the run date, and next value is the parameter ID. Okay, now the mapping is almost ready. Let us try to give the mapping name meaningful m underscore in or okay sys variable run. Okay, okay, so let's try to run this mapping. So the mapping is not valid. Just a second. Oh, validation panel. Okay, the target one was Okay, mapping. Okay, the sequence. Okay, now I need to change this property. Forgot to do that. Okay, disable incoming fields. Okay, now you need to link this sequence again after doing that. Yeah, so now the mapping is good. Now let us try to create a mapping task. Okay, okay, now the sequence is 1. That's fine. Finish the mapping task. Okay, so the mapping task is ready. Now let's try to run and verify that. Okay, the mapping job is started running it. Let's verify the outcome. It should load in initial run 10 records. So okay, basically the last run time 1970 greater than, it's pulling the record. So due to that reason it should pull all the records from the modified date condition. That's what we had given, correct? So yeah, so now if you go back and see, okay, let us go and try with the source data, check it out. Oh sorry, I forgot to give the condition correctly. Greater than is supposed to give it. Okay, now let's try to save the mapping again. There is no records matters loaded. Okay, now let's try to create a fresh mapping task instead of that one. Okay, create a mapping task, select, okay, okay, finish. Okay, let us try to run this time. It should be fine, I believe. We'll see. So now this time it is properly loaded. I made a mistake in giving the filter condition, sorry for that. So this time it's loaded properly. If you see, from the source it's pulled 10 records, and this source one is for ETL param, what I've created for getting the max state, and target, it's loaded properly with the t underscore empinc, and target one ETL param table also it's loaded. Let's go back and see the session log first. If you go to the session log, okay, and download. If you see that, so you can find select statement here. If you see, this is the condition it's being pulled. So in the background, the repository server it's loading the default date 1970-0101 with the timestamp, because since we are using last runtime, it's using timestamp as well. With this condition, it's filtering the source data. You got that right? And -1. Okay, with that condition, it will pull the data. If you run this condition in the source, okay, so if you run this condition in the source, you'll get all the data. Okay, you got the point, right? So now, so if you go and see in the target, it must have loaded all the 10 records. You can see all the 10 records have been loaded in the first iteration with this condition. Okay, so so now we got a fair idea how it is being working with the last runtime system variable. Now then, and also the another ask is like in the ETL param table how it's being saved. Okay, if you see here, the first running number is loaded, and this is the mapping name, and this is the runtime it is captured. Okay, the last runtime. uh, okay, so it's supposed to be, yeah, this is the maximum date it ran it, right? On the first iteration. Okay, so now means like this is the based on this modified date max date we covered it and we got the date. That's what you can see. That is how you are getting this date. Now next thing what we are going to do is we'll try to simply modify the date. Now because it will take the system timestamp, right? Like with the GMT whatever we told with the last run time. Let's try to change one of the data and try to do it, like assuming that now it is 17th April, right? 10:03. Let's try to change the date to 16. Okay, 16 April. Okay, let's try to keep it 6. Okay, so this particular record alone will be pulled for this current iteration, and I'll show you the runtime. It will be updated with the current runtime, last runtime in the repository server. Okay, so if you go back and rerun the task again. Okay, now this time what will happen after the first run, the last run time, what was the last run time with the system, the current server timestamp, it will get updated in the background with the repository server. From that timestamp onwards, whatever greater than, it will pick up the data. But here what is the thing is, like we are giving the last run time -1, that is the previous day data we are pulling. So that is the reason I updated into 16th April. That's what you can see from the condition. Okay, so that is like 16th April data I had already given. If you see in the, so that is the current date -1. So let's try to run it. I'll show you in the session log when I'm running. Now let's try to rerun it. So now we must see only one record alone should have picked up, because that is the modified data, right? So as I said, it's a one record properly pulled it. Hold on. Okay, it's not pulled the latest record. Okay, have to be just a second. Let's see the session log. Select. Yeah, so basically it's trying to check the data 2023 04 18 02. Okay, minus of this one. So which means we don't have that particular data. Okay, so the, see here, we can take this select statement. Let's try to check it out in the source side. Do we have the data for that? Okay, so let's try to run this. So we don't have that data. Let us assume that let us try to give the data as 17. Okay, so instead of 16, maybe we can update into 17. Okay, we should be fine. Okay, so let's try to give it data to 17 and save this and run the data. Now we can see the data. Okay, okay, you got it. Let's try to rerun the data. Now if you go back and see, there is still 10 records only, but since the last run date was not successful, see, as I told, it is simply skip updating. This is also one good scenario what we had discussed. Since that particular run was not successful, it didn't update the date. Okay, so now let's try to rerun. This time it should update one record. Okay. Yeah, so this time we are successful. So we have to be little careful while updating the criteria condition. So since it is completely controlled by Informatica repository server in the cloud side, we don't have any control. So we have to ensure the data are proper. So with that, the data will be properly pulled. So as I mentioned, so it is properly taken considered this condition. See, 18th April 2023 of this timestamp. If you go back and see in this parameter table, you'll see. So this is the timestamp. Okay, what to say? Let me go back to the session log. Sorry, I'll go to the session log. Okay, I'll go to the session log. I'll show you. If you go back to the session log, see, so this is the timestamp. It took it now 2507. Okay, so the minus of this data, it was trying to pull the data. So finally we got one record, and thus we are able to achieve the result what we require. Okay, so and if you go back and see in the target table also, we'll see that 11th record now successfully loaded. That is the one new record. See, the 11th records loaded, and this is the modified date, 17th April. You see that? Okay, so this is it, friends, about system variable usage for incremental load purpose, the last run time, and same way the last run date also you can make use of it. So hope you like my video. If you have any questions or clarification, please reach me. Thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe my channel.